Well, welcome to Zen Live. This beautiful Sunday morning in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the earth, and about 2.5 hours drive from Charlottesville, which is also Virginia. So let's talk about that in the context of Zen and in the context of our shift in the way we look at things from a Zen point of view, from a unity point of view instead of a division. So let's look at that today. And so I wrote this up here. Let there be one. I'm just kind of like leaving that up there as the imperative of life in the universe. Let there be one. So everything is trying to obey that commandment. Even Hitler was trying to obey that commandment. Let there be one. Let there be one. So then let's look at this in the terms of the rise of political moralism. So today in Charlottesville, yesterday in Charlottesville, we had a bad day cup, bad day mug. This is, that's what it says on here. A friend of mine gave me this bad day mug. A bad day mug, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's a big dent in it. It's an imperfect mug. It's a bad mug, you see. A friend of mine who had this cup took it to a local potter to see if she could make some for her. And the potter she said it was such a struggle to intentionally make a bad cup. I mean, her whole artistic drive was to make the perfect cup, to keep making a better and better perfect cup, you see. But to intentionally make a bad cup was very difficult, she discovered. It was the resistance to it. I found that to be very interesting, you see. So I drank today from the bad day cup, you see. It drinks very well. I can drink from the bad as well as the good. So the cup is a good bad cup. You see the paradox here? It's a bad cup, and yet it's a good cup. So it's good bad. It holds both. The inside and the outside are held together, you see. There's no moralism in this. Moralism would be, that's a bad cup, throw it out. That's an evil cup, get rid of it. We just want good cups. Just good cup. Just the good, throw out the bad. So let's look at the, this came to mind, the rise of political moralism. What is, the first thought that comes to my mind is Barry Goldwater. Back in the 60s when he was running against LBJ, and he was really the first voice of the moral right. Remember Jerry Falwell, the moral majority? The moral right, you see. Right means good, righteousness, moral. The moral right, you see. So he said, extremism in the pursuit of patriotism is no vice. Well, that's interesting because that basically says in the pursuit of patriotism, you can do anything you want. Oh, you can even march into Charlottesville with helmets and guns and clubs. You can even do that. You can even shoot somebody, like Zimmerman. You see, there's no extremism is no vice in the pursuit of patriotism. So what is patriotism? Now, just somebody on Facebook this morning said, and I thought this was, I believe in equality. All are equal, and I'm a patriot. Now, this is a contradictory in terms. See, because patriot means special. I'm right. I'm for America. But then everybody's for America if you live in this country. But as soon as we say a patriot, that already starts. That's already separating the not patriot from the patriot. You can't have patriotism unless you have not patriotism. If everybody's a patriot, there's no patriotism. If everybody's America, there is no patriotism. And even if you're fighting against Hitler, You don't have to be, everybody fights against Hitler, not just the patriots. See, the patriotism seems to divide the social body, the society. If the country is at war with another foreigner, an enemy, everybody's a patriot. I mean, in the sense, there is no, you just go to war and defeat the enemy. You just go to war and defeat the you don't run around saying, I'm a patriot. You're not. As soon as I say I'm a patriot, I'm saying somebody's got to not be a patriot. And we better find them out. And we better get rid of these bad cups, you see. So just to say I'm a patriot divides the social body. And if it becomes the badge of a political party, the patriot party, you have moralism. And a moralism is the destruction of religion. It's the sin of Adam. Adam discovered moralism. He ate the apple of good and bad. Now I got to get rid of the bad apple, keep the good apple. But you see, that's getting back to the cup. Get rid of the bad cup. So there's a crack in that cup. Get it out. There's a little bit of a smudge here. Get that rid of that. You see, not to mention the big dent. You see. So once you evoke patriotism, and then couple that with nationalism. Nationalism and patriotism about the same thing. And nationalism is moralism. So nationalism is kind of like my country, right or wrong. So now I've got to other countries are bad and I'm good. So now that's on a broader scale. So patriotism is kind of like nationalism brought home. So now I'm a patriot and some people and other Americans are bad. I got to get rid of them, you see. See how that works? Kind of like a Russian nesting doll. So nationalism is war with other countries. My country, right or wrong, I got to be number one. I got to be at the top of Trump Tower, you see. And so all other countries have to be subservient to me because nationalism, my nation, right or wrong. That's been a curse of humanity since the industrialization of Western Europe. The rise of nationalism brought World War I and World War II. Now we're trying to transcend that. Transnational means a unifying of nations. But the same thing is happening in America in a value war. You see, so patriotism is a value, my value. In order to have my value and to be the number, it seems that there again we're into my value, right or wrong. For me, my value means it has to be the one. You see, my value is let there be one value. It can't be two values. Let there be one value. Just like this cup. The value is to have a perfect cup. The value most potters have, and most people, you go shopping, oh, there's the perfect cup. We're always in search of the perfect cup. I got a cupboard full of cups. My wife, they keep coming in. And eventually we go, every couple of years, we throw out cups to make room for more cups. My uncle spent the last 10 years of his life looking for the perfect martini glass. I've spent a good deal of my life looking for the perfect vacuum cleaner. And we've looked for the perfect coffee maker. Fortunately, I've found them, so now I'm no longer a seeker. I have a Dyson vacuum cleaner and a Jura coffee maker. They're perfect. I no longer seek the perfect vacuum cleaner. It's the end of consumer moralism. Consumer moralism, that's a good thing, a good idea. That's stimulated by advertising. Advertising activates a sense of consumer or product moralism. Oh, well, this product's no good, but this one's good, you see. So I got to get rid of that and buy that. But immediately something goes wrong. There's a dent in the one I just got, so there's a better one coming. So we just move to buying better and better products by discovering the fault, the bad in the old, you see. It only stops when you get a bad day cup. And you got the bad and the good in one thing, you see. The imperfect and the perfect is held as one, you see. So patriotism is a political moralism. And what we saw in Charlottesville was the fruit of political moralism, where white nationalism, whatever you want to call it, racial nationalism, religious nationalism, white nationalism, it's all a combined moralism into a value that must be the one. And so in order to, you see, this is the fault of moralism, is that when you have a positive value, let me be the one, I'm the positive value, then you got to get rid of, in order to be the one, you got to evolve to this. Now I'm the one. There's no more negative. There's no more bad. You see, here's the bad. And I'm the good. Okay? So the only way to obey the commandment and become the one that has no second and achieve peace, you see, it's going towards, when you achieve the one, there's no more conflict. I'm the one. I win. No more conflict. No more suffering. No more history. No more evolution. I'm here. I've arrived. I'm at the promised land. I'm in heaven now. No more strife, conflict, problems. No more struggle to be the one. No more seeking. This is the imaginary promised land. Moralism seeks to find the one in time, in history. This goes all the way back to the Bible. So when Jesus came along, he says, oh, the Messiah, he's going to bring the promised land, kingdom of heaven on earth in time. In time. Get rid of the Roman Empire, then peace on earth, you see. Even Hitler pursued that. One nation, one Germany. Subdue all. Then there will be peace in Europe when everybody's Germany. Japan. There will be peace in the Pacific when everything is Japan. America. There will be peace in the world when everybody has a Walmart. See? This whole idea of being the one, you see, can only find peace when everybody is your value. But the fault in this is that whenever you, if you look at the yin-yang, the truth of the yin-yang is that when you create the good, you're also going to create an equal amount of bad. Because it's one already. The cup is one, you see. So life is a balance of these opposites. It's a teeter-totter. You know the little teeter-totter? Okay? That's balance. Good, bad. Negative, positive. Up, down, in, out. You see. Smooth, rough. Everything is, in nature, zero. And if you add, I say below on that. I say we got to have more good here. So I've got to eliminate all this bad, right? And I got to push this bad into a little corner, right? I got to get this bad. I got to paint the bad into this corner, you see? Got to go here, push it in there, push this bad out, you see? It's like a waterbed. You start pushing down on your other half, and your other half comes up behind you. If you ever had a waterbed, try and get the bubble out by pushing on it. See, the universe is ground zero. It's a pair of opposites. Everything is a pair of opposites. All form is balanced by its opposite. So the moment you try to get one up on form, and you introduce moralism, and your value is the best value, the only value, the must-be value, yeah, then you're going to have a war on the other values, and you're going to disturb the balance. And while you think you're pushing away the bubble, you're creating the opposite bubble. You're creating the shadow. The shadow. The shadow. We're watching Sherlock Holmes on Netflix, and the more I watch this, the more I see the play acting, the play out of this. Let there be one. Sherlock wants to be the one, but he has the shadow Moriarty. So wherever he thinks he's got Moriarty's dead, Moriarty reappears. The shadow reappears. Wherever he pushes here, the shadow comes up there. This is a play in all of our mythologies, and it's a play in our life. Whenever you push here, something pushes back there. Boop. You see? I got to push you down. The opposite push is going to come at you from some unsuspecting direction. When I push down inside of myself, I just want to be good, I want to be good, I'm going to push down the bad, you see. What I push down comes at me from the future. And I say, oh my God, where did that come from? Who did that? And I blame it on somebody else, you see. Not realizing that it was my own energy coming back at me. But when I'm balanced, I accept the light and the dark in me. I accept the conscious and the unconscious, you see. Balance is basically okay. Balance means okay. It doesn't mean you don't do anything, but when you do something from not a political or a relative moralism. You do something, your action then, when you are in balance, is an absolute moralism. Now this is, I'm trying to figure this out as I talk. But absolute moralism would be the true moralism, and the political and the relative moralism and the religious moralism. This moralism is a pseudo moralism, a false moralism, a false idol moralism, because it's relative. And it's based on the premise that you can remove your opposite. See, whenever you create anything, if you just say, I'm a patriot, you've already created, by just defining yourself as being a patriot, you've already created the not patriot. These are mutual. This, if I say I'm a patriot, well, then I have created the not patriot. Now I have created a force again, a force. I'm a force of patriotism. I have created the opposite force. And I'm deluding myself to thinking I can be patriot the whole world. My value can be all that if I just get rid of that, you see. But you can't, because it's you. It's this. I want to be the one hand clapping, right? But I've got this hand. So in order to be the one hand clapping, I got to get rid of this hand. So I attack my own hand. And every energy I put into that comes back at me with the equal. It's in balance. Everything's in balance. So if I put a pressure on this hand, an equal amount of pressure is going to come back on this, but it's going to come from an unexpected place. That's why there's terrorism. You're going to remove every time you push down on this terrorism, it pops up over there. It's a waterbed. It's a waterbed. So what we looked like in Charlottesville is the fruit of, I would say, and I'm not blaming Gary Goldwater, but you see it goes all the way back to the 60s. This building political moralism in which the good must triumph over the bad. But the political moralist divides the country into good and bad. So the party of moralism must remove the bad. But the bad keeps reappearing in different forms. Today it's the Muslims, tomorrow it's the immigrants, tomorrow it's the blacks, or it's the Jews, or it's the elite, it's the science, it's the LBGT, it's the gays, you name it. The bad keeps appearing in new forms, so the good will have a new form, a new war, a new charge, a new crusade, you see. All in the service of God. Let there be one, you see. So these are all, you could say this is political moralism creates religious wars. Secular religious wars. So we don't have any old-style religious wars where the Catholics go to war against the Protestants, like in Europe, which consumed Europe for a couple of hundred years. That's why the Enlightenment was created to end the religious wars, you see. And America was created to escape the religious wars of Europe. But with the industrialization, we just created national religious wars. And now that Europe is no longer having nationalism, although Russia is trying to reawaken it, Russia number one, America has reinvented nationalism into social political moralism, which now we're the enemy. Very clever. When the Cold War ended, this was a Cold War, us against them, you see. And so every time we pushed on Russia, Russia pushed back. So around nobody could win. It finally just exhausted itself. Like a tennis match with perfect masters. It would go on for days until everybody goes home. Like nobody can win. So the Cold War just exhausted itself. So we created an internal Cold War because the moral right has to have an enemy. In order to have a moral right, you have to have bad to defeat. But if the bad is not external, you've got to create it internal. And the beauty of that is that you can keep creating new bads. When one of them finally, for instance, you can't create a political party now in a war on women. They got the vote, and so they're pretty much that's pretty much a no-ender, you see. So immigrants or some other. It's very inventive. You can create new ones very easily. Start a new crusade. Get all people all ginned up and come to the votes, you see. Abortion was a value war. Gay marriage, that's dead now. They're not going to get people to the polls on gay marriage. So anyway, we're just in a new phase of an old game. And the problem with this paradigm is that when the tension of the good against the bad grows, because the tension will grow when it reaches a stalemate. When the tension between the left and the right, when the tension between the good and the bad, or the bad and the good, when the moral tension gets frustrated, or in a feedback loop, the need for violence grows. It's like a teapot. You keep turning up the heat. At some point, the whistle's going to blow. Charlottesville was the whistle in the teapot. The tension keeps growing until it starts erupting out. And it erupts out like Charlottesville, or it erupts out in some mass shooter. The insane guy down there in Charleston who shot up a black church thinking he was going to start a race war. Everybody wants to be a martyr when the tension grows. No one else will do it, I'll do it, I have no choice. I want to be a son of God. I want to be the new. I want to be to trigger this rapture, the end of times, when the good triumphs over evil. You see, all this mythology. So there are going to be plenty of people who will step up and be the trigger under the false belief that they can bring an end to the tension in the collective psyche, an end to suffering, an end to the pain of division. They believe, I'll be the one. That's a Christ complex, a Messiah complex. I'll be the Messiah to bring an end to this war against good against bad. I'll bring an end to it, and we'll all be good, you see, when all the bad is removed. When we get rid of the shadow, we'll all be sunlight. I'll be the one. And these are not people. These are just shadows. I'll shoot the shadows in order to bring the light, you see. I'll shoot the darkness in order to bring the light. It's all a play, an ancient play, but it's really acting out great in America now. You can see it. Now, what's the only way out of it is to see make it transparent and see through it, to see the game. You have to see the game. The people that are caught up in this don't see the game of it. They don't know what they're doing. That's what Jesus said on the cross. These people don't know what they're doing. They think they're sons of God, but they're sons of the devil. They don't know what they're doing. They're This is a formula for unconsciousness. Whatever you divide is a division in your mind, my mind, collective mind, into conscious and unconscious. And the unconscious becomes the shadow. It becomes the unconscious part of me that I reject. It becomes the part of me that I reject, split off and try to shoot. I project it on other people. Then I get out a gun and try to shoot it. It's me. Anyway, thank you for dropping in. And I'll see you this evening, maybe, at martini time.